usual way of playing football involves 2 teams and 2 goals. But a Danish intellectual by the name of Asger Jorn found that simple method a bit boring. So he decided that traditional rules were not for him, and in the early 1960s he put his own twist on the sport.
Asger Jorn, who was a Danish situationist philosopher, he was looking at modern capitalist society, which he thought was divided in a 2-class battle, which he wanted in a way to disrupt or at least challenge the ethos of that system. One of the ways he wanted to challenge it was through football. And I think what 3-sided football does, it allows individuals to express themselves in a more free, spontaneous way than the conventional game. If we change the rules a bit, have 3 goals, play on a hexagonal pitch, we can allow individuals to express themselves in a more spontaneous way. So there's always been an anarchic side to 3-sided football.
Jeff Andrews is the manager of a team called Philosophy Football, who've been playing 3-sided football since 2010. So how does it work? Well, instead of a traditional rectangular pitch divided in 2, the game takes place on a hexagonal field with 3 goals. There are 3 teams with 5 players each and rolling substitutes. There are 3 periods, each lasting 20 minutes, and the teams rotate between the goals. Offsides, well, they don't exist, and neither do goal kicks or throw-ins. The resultant game has been described as organised confusion, so tactical thinking is difficult. But when tactics fall down, philosophy steps forward to plug the gap.
It's a very exciting game. It's a game that we can see has, from a play point of view, an enormous amount of potential. If you can imagine football combined with chess and poker, then you've got an idea of what 3-sided football is like to play.
Though Jorn came up with the concept over 50 years ago, the first game of 3-sided football was played in Glasgow, Scotland in January 1994. 2 years ago, the Deptford 3-sided league was set up in South London by Mark Dyson. He was one of the original participants in that match 20 years ago.
When I was in Glasgow in the 1990s, I was joining in with some of the events that were being organised by a group called the Workshop for Nonlinear Architecture, situationist-inspired performance artists. And we, at the time, were interested in the ideas of the situationist movement. And Jorn, when he devised 3-sided football, was a member of the Situationist International. And as we were attempting to try and taste all things situationist, we thought, okay, let's see what it tastes like. Let's see whether or not Jorn's hypothesis as to what is going to happen when you play really does happen. So it was an experiment. And to be honest, 3-sided football is still an ongoing experiment.
2 decades on from that first organised match, there are still no concrete rules, just a handful of basic principles. The winner is the team that concedes fewest goals, not the one that scores most. So players have to be aware of the need for temporary alliances. They need to make fast judgments about their opponent's strengths and weaknesses, knowing they'll have to both exploit and promote these depending on the state of the game.
We were amazed by the recent publicity. We thought it would be matched with scepticism, a lot of sarcasm, but in fact there's a lot of genuine interest in it. I think people want an alternative sometimes to conventional football, dominated by big business and the corporate side of the game. The simple pleasures of the beautiful game have been lost to some extent, and 3-sided football brings that back. So although it may appear complicated, it's very simple when you start playing.
On the back of the game's rising popularity, the Deptford League, which plays every first Sunday of the month, has just expanded to 6 teams. 3-sided football is also played in other European countries, and there's a real prospect of it gaining a larger following.
It's expanding to such an extent that we're actually going to be holding the first 3-sided football World Cup in Denmark in June this year in Silkeborg, which is where Asger Jorn was from and where the Asger Jorn Museum is. There will be a team from Silkeborg. There's going to be teams from all over Europe, Turkey, Germany, Italy, Spain, England, Colombia, Malaysia. We're told an Australian team may be coming along.
Who needs Brazil? Maybe the future of football will be hexagonal.